15 months of war, 47,000 people dead in Gaza, 800 Palestinians dead in the West Bank, more than 800 Israeli soldiers dead in the battle. In a conflict between weapons and narratives, what future awaits the two sides? Jerusalem, the Holy Land, one of the most desired cities in the world, in one of the most complicated territories on the planet. Many days in its past are recited by some and etched in the memory of others. The most recent, which will be remembered forever, is October 7, 2023, a day which reopened all wounds and unleashed new fury. The events of this day trigger a wave of devastation, of rage, of despair of all sides. 50 months of war and the second ceasefire is as fragile as any hope of lasting peace, and it feels impossible to grip onto into the constantly changing winds. Two broken societies which physically coexist, but do so with underlying tensions. 10 million people in Israel have experienced the longest war and yearn for peace. A term that doesn't seem to have a place in the vastness of its territory. The arid plains of the Negev desert contrast with the green and lush Jezreeli valley that invites hope. Oases like this one, between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, the oasis of peace.
We have 90 families here, and we've been here for 50 years almost. And we strongly believe that the only way to live in this region, in this area, is by believing in one another, believing in peace, believing in shared society, and working toward it.
We have 50% Arab families, 50% Jewish families, and we are trying to educate our children to peace.
I had a dream to open a Jewish Arab school in the village. 84, together with a Palestinian friend, Abdel Salam.
We teach the students from both sides, the Arabic and the Jewish students, about the culture of the other side, culture, religion.
It's fun playing with them because they do not speak the same language as us, and they do not come from the same culture than us.
לא, אין לי בעיה לשחק עם בנות שהן ערביות. זה כיף לי ויש לי מלא חברות שהן דוברות ערבית. זה לא מפריע לי בכלל.
And to let them have a place here in school and to feel that we support them no matter what.
Rejek was one of the first to settle in this oasis. But despite all his years, he still doesn't understand why peace hasn't taken root yet.
Every side should recognize their part in the conflict. We all have made mistakes. We all need to apologize. We all need to change our attitude.
As Rejek thinks, perhaps, the peaceful coexistence inside the oasis could also pave the way for a two-state solution, making Israel and Palestine live in harmony. After all, the history of Europe is a very good example.
Millions died in Europe. But there was a beginning of a new era by the end of the Second World War. Okay? And look at Europe today. There are problems, there are difficulties, but it's open borders. You can travel anywhere you want. One passport, one currency, So it can happen here also. The Israeli government, it's very radical.
The state of Israel don't really like this model and do not support. Right to settle in the Israeli land preserved only for Jews. So everything related to Arab, Jewish, Palestinian, Israeli project, you can't have any land or state land to establish your own community.
In this oasis there is no synagogue, no mosque. Instead, there is a spiritual center. It's a new model of society, shared and is beyond conventional origins of beliefs.
My start here in the village, full of hope, full of expectation that we have the power to change things.
Understand that this is the reality, that there is two people between the river and the sea. There is 7.5 million Palestinians and 7.5 million Jewish Israelis, and they have to live together. And the equation is very simple. Some people think it's complicated. It's simple. It's pure, direct democracy. There is no supremacy here. There is no white, Jewish, any kind of supremacy, and everybody is equal.
Equality, another long for war. Traveling north, there is another bastion of calm, where weapons or riots into streets are rarely seen. Haifa, the northern capital of Israel, knows the cohabitation between its Jewish and Arabic residents. But is this coexistence now in danger? How might it be strengthened to avoid collapsing altogether? Jafar Ferah is the director of the Masawa Center, a civil organization established in 1997 promoting the equality of Arab citizens in Israel. Masawa means equality, a word that is now in doubt. But why?
I think the disaster is related to lack of vision. What is the future of the Jewish people? If they want to live in the Middle East or to be isolated from the Middle East, it's not only Netanyahu. Also, the opposition camp in Israel, they don't have clear vision how the Jewish people will be part of the region. Israel is a very complicated country. You have a lot of immigration groups, and you have the Palestinians. So you have the Haredi, which is a group that is isolated. It's the ultra-Orthodox Jews. You have the Mizrahi community. You have 1 million Russians that immigrated here in the last 20 years. So nobody really can tell you what is Israeli. So we as Palestinians, as indigenous community, part of our political duty, is also to outreach to the different Jewish communities and to try to liberate them from this isolation mentality that they live through since 48.
Every single one of its 1,600 kilometers of borders in Israel are in dispute, a dispute that seems endless. At the north of Haifa, the gateway to Lebanon, Kiryat Shmona was practically empty in its entirety after October the 7th. This shopping center was hit by 2 missiles. Several months later, it's still under reconstruction, and no one has been able to return to work. More than 60,000 displaced individuals are now trying to regain their lives. Eliyahu, with the ceasefire, has reopened his jewelry business after living as temporary guest at a hotel for 50 months.
It's like a golden prison, It's hotel. You have everything, but you don't have nothing. Mm-hmm. This is not yours. It's not home.
Little by little, the population tries to return to some kind of normal, which has been shattered.
לא היה קל, היה מאוד קשה. עבדנו תחת אש, אני עובדת בקופת חולים, בשביל לקבל אנשים.
So that was like a ghost cities, I guess, right?
Yes. I can't even go with the truck with the lights on at night in the Shuvim, yes.
So you were under missiles?
Yes, a lot. אזעקות, הכל. It was very scary to be in the area, yes.
אני בכל אופן, כל המלחמה הייתי פה, לא יצאנו, נשארנו, ספגנו את הטילים, בגלל ששני הילדים שלי לוחמים בלבנון ובעזה, ויש בן אדם שיודע מה הוא עושה, בנימין נתניהו.
The Golan Heights, as vast as their dangers, was hit by countless rockets for 50 months, but now there is no longer that sound. But other events of the East have awakened past conflicts. Despite the ceasefire in Gaza, many questions remain about nearby territories. We are talking about Lebanon, or for example, here on the border with Syria, the entrance for the Israeli tanks at Masdal-San's town. Israeli forces continue operations beyond the Golan Heights buffer zone. What the next chapters will be is uncertain. Since 1948, successive wars have taken over the supposed social welfare that every generation longs for. The city of Jerusalem is usually flooded with different sounds that remind you of its diversity.
Rescue me from my enemies, oh my God. Give me strength against them.
George is Jewish, and his family emigrated to the United States. Now, in the most desired city in the world, the crown jewel, he reflects on his current state.
There's no place like this because it's a safe haven for Jews. It's a safe haven for many religions, and not just Jews, for Christianity, for Islam, for Judaism, and polytheistic religions. It's a place where freedom of speech, where freedom of press, where freedom of assembly, freedom of religion and prayer are all accepted.
Richard is a Christian Arab, the minority now in Israel. He's the manager of this hotel in the old city that has withstood the onslaught of war like never before. 15 months of war that have left the tourism sector devastated. He says hope is their oldest client when I ask him about returning to a peaceful Israel.
That's what everyone hopes. That's what we are waiting, everything to go back to normal. People didn't work, businesses stopped, especially as us, a hostel here. We had like big loss during the war. We didn't have tourists till now, partly few of them in some holidays. But if you want to live in a country, of course you want to work, live, feel safe.
But Israel also has another important community. Almost 30% are ultra-Orthodox. They are known as Haredim and usually live on the fringes of the secular societies that surround them in a non-hostile environment. They have their own neighborhoods, political parties, businesses, and schools resisting progress. Yesara helped minors affected by wars with her institution called October 7 Kids.
Over 19,000 cases of children who've been diagnosed either with PTSD or anxiety, impairment of functioning, grief, even suicidal tendencies. So there's a massive demographic of children in this country who need help with mental health and their psychological well-being.
Yesara has also experienced several conflicts during her life in Jerusalem. According to her, perhaps the one from 1948 never really ended, but she always has hope of a better future.
And I believe that there will be, the Mashiach will come, and that everybody will have their place. They'll see the love in God in the world, and there certainly will be peace. The evil will be gone.
A few kilometers from the bustling city, which cradles three monotheistic religions, lies the West Bank. The Israeli army has begun a new operation that many fear will turn into a new Gaza, a territory with uncertain future and with a past full of misery and sad dreams. Hebron is the city where the occupation is most clearly felt. The 1994 massacre carried out by an Israeli-American settler inside the mosques ended the lives of 29 Palestinian Muslims. But he, a civil rights activist, says the situation has become challenging since then.
Actually, Hebron, its species is by all the closures that Israeli occupation they are applied. It's been this situation even before 7th of October, but after 7th of October 2023, the situation has become more tricky and more difficult and complicated for the Palestinian people. Everything here is turned to be like people living inside pieces, cages. They already split the city about each other's, so the life there, it's killed. And the Israelis, they are built a settlement here. None of the Palestinians now have any life there. The Palestinians, they cannot access any life at all. If you tried or you managed to come to reach to other street, even from the other area, which is near Ibrahim Mosque, you will be arrested. You will be humiliated. You will be obliged all the kind of violence you think about it.
This area, they call it H2 or Hebron 2. controlled by the Israeli army. That's why you don't see a lot of people here. Besides, there is a lot of harassment at the checkpoint before entering the mosque. If somebody is going to pray there, they stop them, see their ID cards, delay them, search them before they get in, or sometimes they refuse their entry, so they don't let them in. So this makes people who come, they don't try again, you know.
This is the Israeli policy which is established, and this is collective punishment. You see all the shops, it's closed, no business, no freedom of movement for the Palestinians, and also the simple rights for the Palestinians as a human, just as a human. The very simple rights does not exist here. So that is part of the policy that Israelis apply it to filtrate the existence of the Palestinians. By this is rules and by this is policies that Israel occupation and the strategy they are working on it, because they want to turn all this area to be a Jewish neighborhood.
يعني بيتي تقريبا بيجي في وسط تل رميدة، وبسبب نشاطي في تجمع المدافعين عن حقوق الإنسان ازدادت الهجمات واعتداءات المستوطنين وتحديدا على بيتي أثناء الليل وأثناء النهار بإلقاء الحجارة والدجاجات الفارقة وأحيانا إلقاء المولوتوف.
We believe that all of this is a criminal that happened in the Ibrahim Mosque. It was not a personal or individual criminal action happened. It was a plan by the government and also the right-wing people who want to take over everything here.
We are seeing every day that the actions of the Israeli government show to all the world that they don't want peace. They want to colonize more and more occupied territories, unfortunately. And that's not helping to reach just peace.
3 or 4 or 5 times having the war on Gaza, and nothing changed, the same. But as people, okay, always we have hope.
The hope that we are survived and we handle it, and we carry it in our hearts, in our minds. It will be continue from generation to generation till we achieve our freedom and the justice.
In total, more than 800 people have been killed in the West Bank since October 7th. But in Gaza, more than 47,000 officially recorded dead. There are at least 70,000 children whose lives have been claimed. More than 109,000 injured. 9 out of 10 Gazans displaced. 70% of buildings damaged or destroyed. And amidst the ruins of the Gaza Strip, Hamas is still standing. And more than 800 Israeli soldiers have also lost their lives in this conflict, a tragedy for everyone. Yet the Israeli side has its own way of looking at things.
Luchando 471 días para que el Medio Oriente comprenda de que Israel está aquí para quedarse. La única razón por la cual acá no ha habido paz o no hay paz en este momento es porque nosotros como democracia estamos luchando contra un radicalismo islámico, obviamente que los objetivos en la guerra todavía no están cumplidos, que son devolver a todos y cada uno de los secuestrados a casa, estamos en ese proceso, y terminar de desmantelar a Hamas desde el punto de vista militar y gubernamental. Dentro de la Franja de Gaza hay mucho sufrimiento de la población civil, no cabe duda. Y nosotros lo lamentamos profundamente, ese sufrimiento de la población civil, y si fuésemos capaces, no hubiésemos alcanzado la posición ni de un solo civil en Gaza, porque ellos no son nuestro objetivo. Nosotros estamos luchando una guerra contra Hamas, y lo último que queremos hacer es eso. Y ojalá hubiese muerto 0 personas en la Franja de Gaza civil. Si Israel quisiese cometer un genocidio, Israel podría hacerlo en 1 minuto y medio en la Franja de Gaza. Mira, no cabe duda que la estrategia comunical de Hamas es satisfactoria en Occidente. Ellos tienen como 2 niveles. Por un lado, intentan aterrorizar a los israelíes, y por otro lado se ha mostrado como prácticamente luchadores por la libertad en Occidente. Y uno pregunta, ¿no? O sea, ¿qué luchador por la libertad secuestra a un bebé de 8 meses y medio?
50 months of war, the longest in Israel history. Disagreements in an arid territory with a small oasis scattered haphazardly. Like the very differences that separate these two main cities, Jerusalem is the city of the day, of tradition, of the costume, of the roots. But 70 kilometers away lies Tel Aviv, the city that succumbs to the night. The final countdown is almost over. Entering in this tunnel may elicit strong emotions. Visitors entering at their own risks, but the hostages didn't have the same option. 50 months of agony for the families, 50 months of waiting, which for some ended with the first ceasefire, and for others it has gone on endlessly. 50 months so many can breathe again, at least the ones who survive.
No sabemos lo que puede pasar cada minuto, cada segundo. En cualquier momento pueden romper con como ha pasado con nosotros, si vamos a salir o pensamos que íbamos a salir, y empezaron las explosiones nuevamente, los bombardeos. Así que hasta que no vea a las personas aquí, yo trato de no creer para no ilusionarme y volver a caer otra vez con los problemas de que no ha sucedido.
¿Y cómo se maneja esto?
Difícil, pero hay que controlar el corazón para no romperlo.
5 family members were taken under captivity on the 7th of October. 3 were released after 53 days, and 2 more were released after 129 days in a special mission of the IDF forces. For us as a family, we know what is the feeling to receive your beloved people back and to hug them. And I think now that, from my experience, the only thing that the families need and the only thing that they will do is to hug their beloved people when they will come back.
Every Saturday and for the last 15 months, thousands of people have gathered here in the hostages square to demand the release of the civilians in captivity.
I literally can't sleep, can't eat, can't drink. We just hope that this nightmare will end.
There is a kind of grief that doesn't shrink. It lingers persistently in every corner.
En las tinieblas, no sabes lo que va a pasar, no sabes lo que pasa. Tú no sabes si están vivos, si están muertos, no sabemos nada. Es terrible. Mira, si 2 niñitos chiquitos, un bebé no recibió todas las vitaminas y los alimentos y todo lo que tenía que recibir durante 2 años, no puede salir algo sano de ahí, ¿cierto? Y también Ariel, también de 4 años, 5 años tiene ahora. ¿Ves? Es una situación muy, muy terrible.
Hilda is the great aunt of the Vivas family's baby held in captivity who has become a symbol of the protest. Like her brother and her parents, her whereabouts remain unknown. An uncertainty mixed with the rate of what was already lost on October the 7th, when her sister and brother-in-law were burned alive in their home. And with no time to grieve, this morning is overshadowed by the waiting.
Como todas las emociones se te suben, ves la esperanza de que pueden volver, que no van a volver. ¿Cómo van a volver? ¿En una bolsa de plástico o caminando? No saben nada.
We really wanted to build our lives next to them, and I still believe we can, but we need to take out the radical movements and give the people other entities that will control the Gaza Strip, and we can live together as neighbors, one next to another. It's really important for us as part of our healing to know that there's a chance to coexist together.
Israel's struggle for its identity in the Middle East, with the world community and international law demanding a two-state solution as the only way forward, where suffering is expressed across the region. At the moment, the situation as it is now is a complicated coexistence to maintain. Whatever the future holds, everyone longs for peace whilst holding on to hope.